Welcome to the Light and Dark podcast. I'm your host, Sam Renfro. In this podcast, we'll explore what it means to be fully human, embracing all aspects of the human experience, the light and the dark. We'll discuss all things health and wellness, spirituality, and everything in between. And I'll share all of the impactful tools and lessons that I've learned on this planet so far. The light is within you. Can you feel it? All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Light and Dark podcast. I am very excited about today's episode because one of the things that I mention and talk a lot about in my episodes, my podcast, is energy and Reiki and how all of this infuses a really beautiful, well-rounded life. And I think it just complements so many other aspects of what it is that I do, what it is that I teach, and how it can really help your life. So I like to mention that. And today we get to go a lot deeper because I have my dear friend Joyce here, who is actually one of my Reiki teachers. And so we're going to take a little deep dive into Reiki and really what that means, what it is, how it flows. And so Joyce, if you'd like to introduce yourself and however that feels good for you.
It's interesting. People ask, who are you? And that's a really complicated question, is it not?
Totally is.
But I'll tell you what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki teacher and a practitioner. Is this what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got into hypnotherapy, which works really, really well with Reiki. Mm. And then I got into Breathwork, which also works really, really well with Reiki. So it's like Reiki is my foundation. And then eventually I add things on when they just feel like they resonate with me, like I've healed from these modalities, and that it complements Reiki or it goes with Reiki. Mm. So everything I do, it needs to meet that criteria almost, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I find as healers, we find the thing that first helps us, and we're like, wow, we're really excited about it. It's working. Something, a little spark is kind of ignited, and then it's like we kind of go deeper into that thing, and then along the way we find these other things that are like, wow, that's really good, and I want to share it with people. So
always want to share it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I have healed from this. People have to know about this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We can't keep it a secret.
No, it's part of the journey, and that's why I kind of love this whole thing. This is like why we're here, right?
Yeah.
So we can kind of dive into Reiki and what does Reiki mean to you? A lot of people have maybe heard about it or kind of know it as this maybe mystical energy work or just a simple relaxation technique. Like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, well, people define Reiki as universal life force energy. But if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, it could also mean like true self or true nature. And so it's like who we were before we were conceived, right? That true nature.
Yeah.
So we all come in kind of like it's hard to say the word, what is the right word, but I'm just going to use spirit. Could be consciousness. Anybody, you could use whatever word feels right for you, but I'm just going to, for the sake of this, just call it spirit.
Yeah.
So it's like this spirit has come in and we combine it with this, I came in as a human, right? And so how do I marry the two, the spirit and the human? And I think Reiki is our life force, but it's also our spirit. And that's who we are before we became human. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it this goes into so many other things that I wanted to ask you. And it's like in my journey, what I've really come to is like, we want to take all of our things, all of our gifts, our essence out here. My hands are out because I'm saying it's out here, but it's also in here. And I look at it as this way of bringing more light into the body because that's what we are. And so I love that you describe it in this way of like we've had conversations about you are Reiki,
right.
Being Reiki.
Right.
And I don't necessarily think that a lot of people either understand that or are taught that way, especially the different lineages of Reiki. And so maybe let's get into how you found it or how it found you.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of dive into that a little bit.
Well, I came into it kicking and scratching. I was very left brain, corporate world, not that the corporate world is a bad thing, but just very linear thinking, very materialistic. And we were fostering kittens at the time, and they all get sick. That's just what happens because they're moved around so much when they're really little. By the time they end up in a foster parent house, about 3 days later, then they start getting digestive issues. And they say, well, that's kind of what happens when they're feeling more comfortable. It's like when we work really hard, go on vacation, and we get sick. It's kind of like that. But they're really little. They hardly have any body fat, so it's a really tenuous time. And they just accept that in the shelter. It's just like, that's just what happens. They'll get through it. I'm like, okay. Well, my husband said he worked with somebody who was a teacher, a school teacher, and she did animal Reiki. And he said to me, Joyce, he heard the word animal. None of us knew what Reiki was, right? You should take this class. I'm like, are you kidding? That sounds too woo-woo. I'm not doing that, right? Well, long story short, I met the woman. She's like normal.
Like normal.
She didn't, when she came over, she offered Reiki to my kittens. She didn't have to like sage the room. She didn't have to wear special clothing or take off certain clothes. You know what I mean? She didn't have to, she didn't chant. She didn't do anything. She just sat on cross-legged on the floor and looked like she kind of went into a little meditation. And then 15 minutes later, she passed me back the little kitten, and he was literally like a wet rag draped over my hand, just out, totally out. And she practically, it looked like she did nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that wasn't too weird. It wasn't too woo-woo for where I was at that time. I'll take a class from you. So in the class, we do different meditations and techniques. And after a guided meditation, she'd go around the room. It was like 5 people. She'd be like, let's say you were in there. Sam, how did that meditation go for you? And you would say, oh my God, my hands and arms and hands are just on fire. They're tingling. Samantha, how was that for you? Oh my God, I saw colors. Joyce, how was that for you? Sam, nothing. I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything, nothing. But I go home that night, and my kittens, it's like they don't even know who I am. It was so weird. So I go back the next day. It goes a 2-day class, and I told her that. She says, Joyce, your energy has shifted, but your mind is so suspicious of this that you haven't accepted it. So she said, but odd things happened with my kids. So I said that, but my kittens were different. She said, you know what? Keep a coincidence. You're a linear thinker. Or a data oriented. Keep a coincidence book, because these kittens only are in our house for a couple of weeks, so we process a lot of animals, and so I had a lot of opportunities. Oh my gosh! 6 months later, my coincidence book was filled, and it's like, wow, maybe something really. And all this time, I'm not feeling anything. None of my kittens are getting sick anymore. Not one. Where before everyone got sick. So I'm like, something's happening, right? And then I finally believed it. And then the next time I'm putting this in quotes, did Reiki, then all of a sudden I start to feel it. So I had to get my mind, it was happening, but I had to get my mind out of the way.
I feel like that really brings me into ease, like knowing my story as well, because the first time that I did or, was a part of this Reiki circle, it was like just this time we were on the beach, and it was like in Mexico, and this lady that I knew did Reiki, and she just invited people to come feel it, and somebody's on the laying down on a blanket on the beach, and she's like guiding everyone to put their hands on certain places and blah, blah, blah. And then she asked everybody's experience at the end. And it's like, I saw this color, and I had this memory from when you were a child, and all these things. And I'm like, I don't know. I maybe saw like a slight shade of green when my eyes were closed. Like I was just trying to make, like my mind was so blocking. And so to hear you say this is just like, wow, okay, cool. We're on the same page.
Yeah, you know how they say you need to see it to believe it, or sometimes you believe it to see it, right? So I had to see it to believe it. Yeah, and then it just took off from there.
So, is that more how you sense the energy, is seeing it or feeling it, or that's a whole separate conversation? But...
Oh, now what happens is I feel it. I can feel it in my body. Sometimes, is this where you want to go?
Well, yeah. I mean, why not?
Sometimes, and it's all different. Some people are clairvoyant. They can actually see the body. Very few people are clairvoyant, and they don't actually. I think Susan talked about this, and you don't see it. Some people do, but you can close your eyes and just imagine it. I hear it. So when I'm offering Reiki, I hear, I don't know, I don't know who, but I hear a voice, and it's not mine, that says, go to the shoulders. I'm like, okay. Go to the knees. Okay, I'll go there. So I'm directed by whom I do not know. And then sometimes I'll feel it in my body. It's like, why is my knee bothering me? And at first I'll go, you'll think, well, what did I do today? Or what did I do yesterday? And then I'll think, oh, wait a minute. And I'll go to their knee, and my knee will start feeling better.
Wow.
So I don't know what that is. Somatic, maybe. I feel it somatically. I feel it in my body.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very like sensory oriented,
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess I forget his name, but in our training, what was his name, Michael? Anyways, he was talking about how he's very kinesthetic, and I feel that way for me is like I sense it in my body.
Yeah.
And that's a way that I know that, okay, cool, I can feel the tingles, I can feel the energy moving, and then I'll notice those places in my body where it's like, oh, this is actually not mine, and we're working on this part, and that's how I'm directed.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because I just feel like Reiki opens up people's gifts to be like, oh, actually this thing seems really strange at first, but then you're like, there's way more going on here than into this human experience that we were ever taught,
right,
that we were ever opened up to.
Yeah.
And at the same time we didn't do anything.
That's
and
right.
So it's just, and it's so funny, but I guess maybe what I'd like to ask is like, do you have a relationship with that voice? And does that only come in during sessions now? I mean, how long have you been practicing Reiki?
About 20 years, if you can believe that. If you count my animals first.
Yeah.
It took me a while to move over to the scarier species, humans.
Right.
Also humans, because our minds are more complicated. We're more complicated. Animals are so pure, so much more pure. But anyway, that voice, do I hear it? And yes, I have a nice relationship with that voice. It's my intuition, my wisdom. And it's interesting because sometimes my ego tries to mimic my intuition. It seems that way.
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting? And so it's trying to discern which is ego and which is wisdom. And I've talked to a couple of people about it, and be curious to see what your impression is as well. Is that it comes in as this nice, like something a little more complicated than go to the knees, but
totally.
And then I'll sit with it, and if it's ego, it kind of nags at me. It pushes me. It's a little anxious, like do it now. And I've learned that wisdom just lobs it over, and it can wait forever. I can do it, I cannot do it. It's like unattached. But it might tell me again in a couple of days, but ego, it's like, no, do it now. No, do it now. There's an urgency with ego. So I've learned that just to hear the voice and not act on it right away and see what it does.
Yeah.
And if it pesters me, it's ego. How about you?
Yeah, it's like I've been really diving into how it is that I best understand my intuition. I think in sessions it's a little bit different because I try to get everything in my mind to be quiet enough where I can really drop in.
Yeah.
If my mind is telling me to go to their knees, I might not listen right away. But if I have this like pull, it's not an urgency, it's like more of a pull, and it keeps coming up, then I think, okay, I'll get to you. I'll get to it. I'm here at your ears or your head right now, and then I'll move down. And it's like a gentle pull that brings me down to that area. And then if I'm in that area and I'm not feeling anything, I'll stay there a little bit longer. But okay, cool, then maybe that wasn't it. And then I'll know right after that, oh, actually it was over here. And so it's this kind of like interesting dynamic where I have to feel it in my body to know, and that leads into like life in general. Like everything for me is about embodiment, and it's really checking in, tuning into my body and seeing how it feels. But lately I've been exploring the voice more, and I know that if I'm passionate and excited about something, it's going to come through to my voice. And it's something I've been exploring with human design. I'm not sure if you're familiar with human design, but it's like they're like energy types that can help you best make decisions and interact with the people in the world around you. And so the thing for me is what you call like an ego manifester, and that kind of like, this is a whole different conversation. But long story short, it means I'm tapped into my will, my heart, truth, and that comes through my voice, my throat. And so if I can speak out, it doesn't even have to be to you or to anybody else. It could be to the while I'm driving or to the cats or whatever. It's just if I speak out, I gotta listen to my own voice in the tone that is. And if there's like excitement that's there, I'm like bing, bing, bing. But if I'm like wishy-washy about it, like, oh, I don't know, I could do this, and you're kind of trying to, you can tell your ego is trying to convince you of something, probably not for me. And it's very subtle, but it's an ongoing investigation, as I'm sure that you know. The intuition is one of those things that you have to constantly strip and shed the things that aren't you to then find the things that are you. And then it's like this push and pull thing.
Yeah.
But I imagine that as you've worked with this energy for 20 years and then got into all these tools, it's just like, I mean, can you say from when you started to where you are now, like what were the things that led you to understand your own voice, your own intuition more? Or?
Yeah, for years, I still didn't think I had any intuition.
Mm.
Yet people on my table would say, "Oh my God, you went right, you put your hands on all the places where I needed to. You know, I forgot to tell you about this one thing, and there you were." And so over time, I just learned to trust it, and then the voice came. Right, the voice wasn't there in the beginning. Yeah, so then I'm like, oh, I guess that's my voice. I guess that's it.
Have you ever considered that's like guides or spirit angels, or do you involve yourself in any of like outside wisdom or have a prayer or anything that kind of helps you in that realm? Or is it just like, oh no, it's just me, it's just my intuition?
Well, I go into the oneness. So it's not me. Who am I? Where I'm connected to everything and everybody, right? And whatever realms or planes of consciousness are there that I know of or not know of, I know that it's consciousness that's doing this Reiki session, if that makes sense. Although sometimes I go to the table and there are so many beings there. I don't know if they brought them, if they're my beings. I don't really get involved in that, but it's like I could barely scooch in at the table. It's like, oh, can I just get, if you'll just let me scooch in here to put my hands,
wow.
Right?
But they're not interacting with you. They're not guiding you. They're just there.
They're there working on my client.
Yeah.
That's usually what I have. I don't usually have somebody. It doesn't feel like somebody is guiding me, but they've come to assist. Yeah.
I ask because, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with like people who channel these interdimensional beings from other whatever, and it's like then they built their relationship with that specific entity or group or whatever, and then they're just kind of channeling the truth. And I've gone in and out of tuning into those people and being like curious, like, is that something that I have the capability to do? You know, but then you can go on a whole rabbit hole with that too. So
you know, and it depends on what plane of consciousness you want to play in, right? I want to play. I don't want to get distracted. I want to be, just remember that I am consciousness. So there's no place to channel it from or to, because I am it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I guess I could call in an archangel or a power being, but are they not me? Aren't they still me? So I just wanted to make it clean, you know, not get too many ideas involved in my head, if that makes sense.
Is that the way that you were taught?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
That's the way I was taught.
Which is so powerful, because I feel like when you're trying to invoke and involve all these other things outside of you when working with something like Reiki, it kind of takes the power from you. When in reality, you're connected to everything and all that is and was. And so just remove all of the chatter about what you need to do or where, you know. And,
exactly. Yeah.
And I've always really admired that about you, you know, from the moment that I had met you, and then we talked about Reiki, and it was just like, yep, bing, like, this is the person I want to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the essence of Reiki, when we go, at least in my lineage, when we go deeper and deeper, it's all about non-duality, which is what I've been talking about, right? There's no me, no you. There's just one consciousness. Now it's manifested in this person called Joyce and this personality, but we're all one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so therefore, about Reiki, so my client is just as perfect and whole, right? As it's not like I'm giving my client anything.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering to the greatest extent possible, right, on any given day, who I am, which is consciousness, or I experience it more as pure love. Some people experience it as like awareness or presence. So everybody experiences it different, but mine is pure love. And I just remember who I am as much as I can. And that emits some, I think that activates something, a kind of an energy, almost like a tuning fork. And then the person on the table is therefore invited to remember who they are too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And I know everybody experiences it differently. Like in my experience, some people don't feel much at all and they're just relaxed, and that's amazing. And some people are like, I went to a completely other realm. And so when you're explaining to clients about what they might experience, you kind of have to give them both sides, because you're like, we could just be here and your nervous system could just allow your body to just do what it does, and that's great. And that's happening anyways, but they could also have a big emotional experience or like more of a mystical experience, and you just never know how someone's going to respond. And so I just think, what has your experience been in that?
Oh, absolutely. They and I love it when one thing I'm going to tag on what you said is there. Yeah, I not much happened. I just feel relaxed, and I'm like, I want to say to them, when was the last time you felt this relaxed in this short period of time,
Yeah.
right? But I wanted all the bells and whistles. I wanted to see colors, and I wanted to go places.
Yeah.
But really, what it's down to is that nervous system regulation is so important, because that's going to help us remember who we are.
Yeah.
We're not going to be so angry. We're not going to be so anxious. Right?
Especially in this day and age, when there's just like 15 things at once coming at us, and the phone and all the cars and, the billboards and, depending on where you live in the world, it's like there is so much on top of the thing in your pocket that's constantly talking to you. So nervous systems are like through the roof in what they're trying to handle.
Right.
And so, an hour of relaxation doesn't sound too bad.
That's right. Yeah. But the whole gamut. Some people come in and if they have an ache or a pain, generally my clients don't come in just because, I just want a monthly Reiki session. Like sometimes we just go in for a monthly massage, whether we need one or not, although we generally always do.
Yeah.
But they generally don't, for me, they come in, there's an issue. And whatever it is, they always come out, they say, gosh, I'm so relaxed. Like, I can't remember the last time I was this relaxed. My shoulder was really bothering me now, and that's so weird. That pain, and I'm rotating the shoulder, right? It's completely gone.
Yeah.
And then they'll thank me. And I'm like, it wasn't me.
Your body did it.
Yeah, you opened yourself up to do that. So when we're relaxed, miracles happen, right? We have an emotional release. We could cry. It's like all of a sudden we've gotten clarity on an issue and something that's going on, or our body isn't in as much pain anymore.
Yeah, and I think that, we could talk about this all day, but it's like there are so much underlining that the body is trying to tell us all the time, and we just don't really give it the time and the space to allow it to come up and out, probably mostly because we're busy, but I think more importantly because we're afraid of what that might look like or be, or, so we're avoiding it all the time, and then people have to, or, they like to come to people like you and I to be able to allow them the space to unwind, whether they even know it or not. And so I like to emphasize that all the time. It's like, I'm not the one that's doing this or healing you, it's like I really like to invite that empowerment into my sessions, and to know that this energy is within you. I'm just kind of providing the space and guiding it to where it can awaken what it needs to for you. And do you do any sort of in your sessions? I've actually never had a session with you, which is so funny.
Oh yeah, you're right, you haven't. That's funny.
Do you start in a certain way, or invite any sort of visualization, or do you I know you do other, you do hypnotherapy and breathwork and you have other tools. So how do you like to guide your sessions and let your clients feel like they're a part of it? Is that something that you do? Or?
I didn't until I took hypnotherapy. And with hypnotherapy, I do Reiki before, and then we guide them to this body relaxation. technique, which lasts a while, so I don't do it quite that long. But I thought ever since I was trained in that, I'm like, I'm bringing that to my Reiki sessions because now it's somebody who I know. We have a relationship with, or at least a familiarity. I don't necessarily do that, but somebody who's never had Reiki, they've just met me. We've had a 5-minute chat about what do you want and what do you what's the frame of what's going to happen, and then they get on the table and this stranger is going to put their hands on them, and I'm saying, oh, just relax, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's do a body relaxation. So generally I'll put my hand like on their belly and maybe on their shoulder, or something kind of grounding and comforting. And then I'll just walk them through like a 5, maybe 8-minute body relaxation, like breathing into the belly and on the out breath. And I'll take like a body part, just breathe relaxation into your face. And I'll use some of my hypnotherapy lingo that relaxes them. But I find that really helps them get into it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done with the whole body, when I'm done with the body relaxation, because a lot of them say, I wasn't quite sure what to do during a Reiki session, right? And so I'll say, what do I do with my mind, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll tell them, you can now just relax and just rest. But if your mind starts spinning off, like onto your to-do list or whatever, go back and just do this body relaxation. Notice what part of your body is tensed up, and just breathe into that area for a couple of breaths. And that gives them something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of made them feel safe with me, because it's like, okay, she's touching me, we're breathing, I'm relaxing, I'm now feeling comfortable and safe here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not so awkward.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's like typical Western minds. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, I'm not supposed to do anything, but I'm the one that's going to be in that session thinking all the thoughts, ping-ponging back and forth. And so that this is like my whole journey of coming from what's going on here. Am I feeling it? Am I feeling it there? What's happening? You're listening to the mind, try to understand what's going on. And then now coming into the practitioner side of it of like, oh, okay. Like, it's just really allowing everything to settle. And I think that you and I both have all these different tools to understand that, because we come from very busy minds.
Yes, I'm laughing because you're right. When I get a Reiki session, I'm like, why does she keep putting her hands there? What is she feeling? What am I feeling in there? And it's like, oh, for goodness sakes, mind, just relax.
Yeah.
Get into be Reiki. Imagine that, because if a really good Reiki session is you don't know if you're the receiver or the giver, right? And so I'm like, okay, just relax.
Yeah.
So yes.
I know. I feel like we're giving Reiki to this table right now. It's like it's a creaking all over the place.
It is.
Yeah. So if you hear that in the audio, sorry about that. But it's just so funny. And you talk about being Reiki, and I want to kind of understand that a little bit more of when you're not in a session, right? When you're out in the world and you're seeing people, maybe it's your friends, maybe you're working, maybe you're just at the grocery store. Where's the distinction between I'm setting the space for this container for the session to happen with your client and you're being Reiki, and then the difference between going out to the outside world of being Reiki? Is there a distinction for you? Or because a lot of like Western lineages teach that I have to turn on the energy and I have to clear it out, and I think that that's absolutely a part of it. But what is your take on that distinction and picking up energies and protecting yourself? Like, I know we've had a little bit of these
Ooh, that's a big subject. So my practice, my spiritual practice, is to always be Reiki, to remember that I'm Reiki, and to embody it. Now my mind will go off on its little human thing, right? But then I have to always bring it back to be Reiki. So I want to answer your question by talking about the Reiki precepts, because they're really important.
Yeah.
So Reiki is based in Buddhism, and Buddhists have precepts. So we have just a little handful of precepts, and they are you'll find them in language differently on the internet, but basically it's not bearing your anger, so not being angry all the time, which is huge, right? And then the other one is not always being worried, like a state of worry, which is another huge one. These are like lifetimes worth, at least for me. Another one is to be grateful. Another one is like to be true to your way and your being, and to be compassionate to yourself and others. So living that.
There it is.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Living those are what I do. Not only during the session, I can't worry, oh, if my client going to feel this, right? So I live those precepts outside of a session. At least I try to.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I work on them. So if I get agitated with somebody on the road, right?
Yeah.
You know, traffic, we get impatient and stuff, then I'll go back and I'll be like, okay, Joyce, has that ever happened? Have you ever done that to somebody? Like not let somebody in, let's say, right? Or cut them off. Like, no, I can't let another person in because I've got to get home, right? If I let one more person in, I'll never get home, right? And then when somebody does that to me, of course, that little comes, and then I'll reflect on it. So I do a lot of self-reflection always. And like, okay, what have you never done that to somebody before? Not let them in? And then who gets angry? It's my ego who gets angry, right? We're just in the flow of things, right? Half the time, I probably cut people off or do things in traffic not even aware of, because my mind is, I'm listening to a podcast, or, you know, my mind is somewhere else. So why do I take it so personally when somebody does something like that?
Yeah.
When something like that happens to me in traffic, or, you know, any conversations or anything, I take it so personally because the ego, it lands on it. So then I have to massage it through my Reiki precepts and say, okay, what's really going on here? What would love, okay, if you're pure love, what would love do? What would love say in this situation? Oh, not fear, which is the ego, right? Which keeps us safe, right? But what would love say? What would love do? Oh, right. Okay. So I'm always trying to live the Reiki precepts.
Yeah, I'm even thinking about that other person that you're not letting in, or that's cutting you off. It's like, well, what if that person was coming to your session and was late and was worried about, oh, I'm not going to get there in time. What if they're going to somebody else's session, right? You have to think about your state and theirs not being separate, because everyone's just trying to get where they're trying to go.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I think it's a beautiful way. And one thing that I think about all the time is like, I can't be the best version of me in my practice and my sessions for other people if I'm not living and breathing this way outside of it. Because if not, then I'm just like switching into these roles, and it's like not true and authentic, like you were talking about it, not being true to yourself and your being. So I love that I say that, and I'm like, for me, there's not really a choice.
That's right.
It's just part of this path that kind of just, at first it happens to you, and then you're upset about it, and you're like, okay, I guess this is the path I chose. Like,
yeah, we can't turn it on and off. We're like, why would I want to turn off love, pure love, my true self? Why would I not want to embody that?
Yeah.
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 It's, but we forget, we remember, and that's just part of the human part of it, right? Yeah.
So then when we talk about picking up other energies, or maybe, people use the term empath a lot. And I would love to hear your take on how that kind of affects you, in my air quotes.
Yeah. So, in a lot of these energetic practices, there are, like, people say, oh, you want to put a grounding cord into the earth or put a bubble around you because you don't want to pick up any of their negative energy. But it's, first of all, negative is a judgment, is it not? It's just the other person's experience and how that experience or their trauma is manifesting in their energy body, right? So if my energy body is fairly clean, it's going to pass, and I'm not worried about picking it up or angry at them for bringing this energy. Why did you come to this session when you're so you're so unclean, right? Then now I've got anger and worry, and that's going to tighten me. And I feel that I'm making like a fist, and that feels like now there's something solid for that energy to stick on, right? Because I've made myself solid. But if I just keep myself open and just like there's no anger, there's no worry, we're all one. There's no such thing as negative energy. There's no such thing as good energy. It's just how it lands on us. It's kind of like keeping my energy body so open that it's porous. So it comes in, it may come in, I feel it, because sometimes I can see flashbacks of flashes of a person's past trauma. And if I like, oh my God, then it's going to stick because my mind is going to turn it over and over and over, right? But if I let my mind be like space, so it's so big, it's so open that it just goes through it. I acknowledge it, I see it, I let it go. Suzuki Roshi, the Zen Buddhist monk who died a long time ago, he says something about making sure that you keep your mind open. Thoughts come in, and keep the back door open and let them go through, and don't serve them tea in the middle. Isn't that cute?
I like that.
Yeah, so they're going to come in, but let it go out. It's the mind catches it and turns it over and over and over, infuses it with your own experience. Oh, I remember feeling this when I had trauma, right? And now it's like, oh, it's stuck on me. Well, it may not be stuck on you, but you have maybe activated your own trauma that you haven't, that is not gone yet.
Yeah.
Right? And we have remnants of it, but we think it's theirs. But I think that it's actually activated our own.
This is exactly what my teachers talk about. And I love how you talked about the fist and tightening, because it's exactly what's happening all the time. And I teach this and talk about this within my classes in the fascial maneuvers, but the people that I learn from, they talk about this all the time. When they get asked, are you picking up energy? Are you not worried about working with people? They're like, if something came to me and then it activated something within me, then I need to look at, why am I feeling this way? It's not that, oh my God, I'm in fear that I picked something up from somebody. It's that, oh, actually, this is just reminding me of something that maybe wants to be cleared and dealt with within my own being. And I love this imagery of the tea. It's like, I'm a big tea guy. And so, it's like, oh, okay. It's just a thought. Just let it pass by. It doesn't need to consume me. I don't need to ruminate on it for an hour or 3 or, So I love that.
Yeah. Or like when you have tea, you chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep it going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to look at it. So I would love to talk about, like, have you developed or maybe, I think that this is an evolving thing, but when people first get into Reiki, it really invites this self-healing, right? How can I work with the energy for my own being, for my own body? So I would love if you would share a little bit about how that's affected you, and then maybe go into some of the other things that people might experience, or the benefits, or why someone might come to Reiki.
It's interesting that when people come into wanting to be a student of Reiki, they generally say, oh my gosh, I've had this spiritual awakening and I can feel all this energy just emanating out of my body, and I want to cultivate that. And I'm always a little nervous when I hear that, because I believe that the energy that we feel, and it's like, oh, I want to manipulate this energy, I want to give it to others. It's so much of a doing, and that I believe what we really need to work on first, like you said, is ourself, and it's the mind. Energy goes where the mind goes. So if my mind is thinking that I am healing someone, I am doing something, then our ego is going to kind of be involved in this. So when we work with the precepts, again, I don't mean to keep going back there, but what am I doing with my anger? What am I doing with my worry? How humble am I, right? How is my ego doing? How reactive am I, right? How much of an authentic life am I leading? How compassionate am I to myself and then to others? Am I kind of judgy with others? And so it's all working on that. And when we start to clear the mind or heal the mind, then our energy naturally becomes cleaner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because our mind agitates the energy, I believe. I've experienced that. I mean, we can think of something right now and our nervous systems will be totally dysregulated, right? That's why guided meditations are great, because you put somebody in a different frame of mind and, all of a sudden my body calms down. So, that was about how I've progressed. I think that was your question about
your self-healing practice, and what people might how they might work with the energy first.
So my self-healing has been my mind, the worst part, and then my body can start to relax and heal, right? So when I'm with somebody else, I get into this mind frame. Actually, I get out of my mind. My mind has no business in a Reiki session.
Yeah. That'll be
Right?
your mantra.
Yes, that's right. And instead, I want to go into my body. I want to remember who I am. No anger, no worry. You know, you can recite the precepts if you want to. We've got lots of meditations and techniques that when we practice it on the meditation cushion, we can kind of, if we need to bring something into the session as a practitioner, we can bring that in. Because it's a practice, our body knows what to do. And then, so the energy in the room is really loving, really accommodating. Like, no matter what they've told me is going wrong with them, they're perfect and they're whole, and I love them. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they are worthy. And I think it's that energy that is just exuding in the room that they pick up on. So they feel relaxed. Sometimes during a session, do you want me to say what happens during the session, or are you thinking like afterwards?
During a session is great, but I was thinking more of like when people they come to be attuned, right?
Right.
And they come to Reiki because maybe they had a session with you and they felt some things and maybe they wanted to go a little bit deeper
Right.
and so, about that practice. But I mean,
Yeah.
share what's on your heart.
I think I'll do that, what you were talking about. So why do people come in to see me? Generally, there's an emotional issue, a relationship issue that's going on. They can't seem to resolve it. Here's another good one. They're feeling something's wrong in their body. They've gone to the doctor. The doctors run all the tests and the doctors say, there's nothing wrong with you. And I believe what's happening is that there is something wrong, but it hasn't manifested to the point where medical apparatus or blood tests or MRIs can't detect it yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone to that level, right? And so energetically, things are shifting and people can feel that. And so when they come in for a Reiki session, we can start to, together, getting that nervous system, getting the whole body, mind, spirit relaxed just in its pure state, then they can start to reverse those conditions, right? Yeah, because the doctors can't find them yet.
Which is great.
Yeah.
The point that it hasn't manifested yet, if you're starting to feel that, I think it's like this is the body's wisdom, and if we can get more people just to even understand that, like, okay, let's maybe not wait until we have to have a surgery.
That's
or
right.
Like involve the doctors.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I love those people because they're attuned to their body and they're listening. So they are really in tune with themselves.
Yeah.
I know something's wrong. They're not believing the doctors. No, I know something's wrong. Oh, so it's an energetic person I need to come to then, right? It could be acupuncture. It could be a fascia release, right? All these kinds of things pre-medicine, right? Yeah, that are so important. So emotional issues. Why after a Reiki session do they feel better? Because I think they're feeling this pure energy and they're remembering who they are. And I think they leave as the Reiki precepts. They leave with less anger, less worry, more compassion for themselves. And they're feeling, oh, I feel myself again, right? Yeah. So body aches and pains are going to go away. Emotional issues will be they'll get clarity on things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you found a need for, and this is maybe a little bit of an offshoot, but have you found a need for grounding? I mean, I know we talked about this a lot, but maybe some people are like, if I have all this energy up here and I'm feeling this all the time, how do I stay grounded? Have you experienced anything like that? Or you're just like, no, this is my natural state of being and I don't need to worry about it?
Yeah, it's interesting. In the beginning, when we first get trained in Reiki, in our lineage, we learn to be in the body. So much of the time people are taught to be more intuitive. But if you're all intuitive, your energy is all high up in the air and you're kind of floaty, kind of airy-fairy. But when we work on body practices, breathing into the belly, which is the core of our being, then we're in our body, right? And so we're more naturally more grounded. So, but eventually, as you learn, as a person progresses through their Reiki training, like in the Reiki Masterclass, we learn to ground in space. So we ground in our true self. But we still need to be in the body because we're spirit, embodied spirit. And so I think when we start this energy is just radiating out from me and I can manipulate it. We're kind of in the ethers too much.
Yeah.
And we even forget we have a body, right? And that's why, oh no, we're embodied. Place your hands on yourself. Stay in your body. And that's grounding for me.
Yeah, and I think it's like, this is what the Eastern culture has known for thousands of years. And this is why I really resonated with you, because none of that at all was taught in my other trainings that I did. And it's not to
denigrate them.
That's right. Not at all, because that's how they were taught.
That's right.
And it's the introduction to this energy. But I think the importance on the body coming back to this physical vessel is going to allow the energy to come through much more, I don't want to say strongly, because that's one aspect of it, but much more pure and impactful. And
and the practitioner's life won't be so chaotic. It's when we forget we have a body. I don't know, I listen to my intuition from my body, and like you said, Sam, it has to come out of your body as in a voice before you can hear it. So it's more embodied, right? Yeah. So our lives can be very chaotic if we hang out in that ether area too much.
Yeah, that's been a huge lesson for me. And I feel like in this current stage of evolution that I'm in, that's just been the focus, because, and I call it, for lack of a better term, I feel like right now I'm like really growing up, and it's like, I don't want to curse, but it's like, that's how it's been lately. It's like, okay, I was in this form of like, oh, everything is so light and airy-fairy and it's magical. And then you start to realize that like it is, and it's not just going to happen. There's like this practicality that needs to be balancing out all of this higher energy. And when you start to experience those synchronicities and that kind of lightness and the energy, it opens you up to understand, okay, there's more going on here. But for me, I had to really bring it back down to earth.
Yeah.
Because if not, then nothing is ever going to change in your life. And so, yeah, that's kind of, I love your perspective on that. Do you want to talk a little bit more about like where the lineage that you come from and how you were trained?
Yeah, so my lineage is more classical, maybe what we used to be taught in Japan.
Not anymore?
No, it's all westernized.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's too bad, huh?
Yeah.
Went full circle.
Why? Man.
Because Japan wanted to be very westernized.
Interesting.
Right? But we don't really know what was taught back in the early 1900s by Mikao Usui, the founder of Reiki. The story goes, as the lineage goes, is Usui taught somebody by the name of Hayashi. Hayashi, he only was with Usui for like 10 months, and Usui passes away. But if it weren't for Hayashi, he taught Reiki. He kept it alive. He taught the first American in 1936, Mrs. Takata. She was Japanese American. She went to Japan to be taught by Hayashi. She wrote in her diary that she understood it because it was all Eastern philosophy. Back in the 30s, we didn't have that here yet, right? And she said in her diary that she understood the philosophy of Reiki, but she also knew that the Western mind would not get it. So she changed things for the Western mind to get it. Thank you. Otherwise, we would not be doing it.
Yeah.
Right? She was a prolific teacher. She died, I think, in the mid-'80s. So she taught for a lot of years. Thank you, Mrs. Takata. However, after she died, it's like, well, what did she mean by that? Nobody read her diary before that, right? What did she mean by that? So I understand that a lot of Reiki masters went back to Japan and were trying to figure out, well, how was Reiki originally taught? And it's very difficult. The culture's kind of closed. You can't just come in as an American like, okay, tell me all you know. It's like, no, you have to know me first, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of Reiki masters have been starting to look at the root. What was Usui practicing when he became enlightened, right? So my teacher is one of them, Franz Stina from the International House of Reiki. And he's been studying now with a Japanese Buddhist Ajari, like an esoteric Buddhism, for, I don't know, maybe 12, 15 years now. And he It's all old-fashioned, all those old purification techniques that the monks and nuns used to do back in the day that we don't even do in the Western. Fasting, you're under this freezing waterfall and you have to recite this long convoluted mantra, right?
Yeah.
Like you see in the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
That really happens, right? So anyway, so my teacher has been going through that, and over time, as he's gotten to know his Ajari, he's been bringing like the Reiki precepts in the old Japanese writings. Like, how would you translate this? How would you translate the word Reiki? Yes, it could mean universal life force energy, but he's the one that introduced to Franz, it also could be true self, true nature. So we got more into the spiritual realm. And so so Franz brings these back to us. We have mantras and symbols in Reiki for the practitioner, but a mantra is something that is either said or chanted, but no lineage chants it. Why not chant it? So we chant it. Oh, when you start chanting these, you can feel very specific vibrations in the body, which is clearing, right? Yeah. And so I love my lineage for that because it is very spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I mean, like I was thinking before you came, it's like all the things I wanted to talk about, and it's like 3 days with you. Of course, I had my Reiki 3 training, my Reiki master training. It was like 3 consecutive sets. It was just not enough. It was so impactful and so powerful and so special. Each day I came home with something new, and all the practices that you taught were just amazing. But it was like, I wanted to have you on so we could talk a little bit more about the chanting that I was able to bring home. You're right. You can feel it in your body, and you feel, not only do you feel it in your body, but afterwards you feel a complete shift in your energy.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm going to approach my day this way. And you start to work with that and invite it. And I just, I'd never heard of anyone doing this before. And it like we talked about the consciousness streams and a lot of the like yogic and Buddhist practices that talk about when you're chanting these mantras, you're also tapping into all the other people in all time that have been will also chant these things. And it's just so cool to think about all the things we can do with
yes. And we talked earlier about, you to ask me about grounding. So the chanting, it's embodied, right? Because you can feel it, the energy in your body. It's not out there. Yeah.
I know I keep being called to come back to that as a daily practice, like picking one of those the energies that I want to work with, one of the chants, one of the symbols, and really, like maybe for the whole year, and just see what happens.
Amazing things will happen.
Yes. Exactly.
And it's a purification technique, chanting is, right?
Yeah, it's just, there's so much to kind of explore there. And so I want to talk about the other tools that you have invited into the practice. But before we do, maybe let's just, like, from somebody who has never experienced Reiki and they're just like, this is, we're going into so many different elements of it, like wrapping it up, I guess you could say, or I guess, how would you recommend, this is a good question, how would you recommend Reiki or energetic practices first to somebody as a way of healing some sort of issue in their life or in their body, which I don't think is any different. I think the body, right? It's all the same. But, it's like, in your practice, how do you recommend and say, oh, I think that you should come for Reiki, or, oh, I think that you should come for hypnotherapy, or maybe you need someone that's going to help you more in the physical body. Do you have a specific way of saying this is actually how it's going to help you?
Yes. Sometimes when people come in, they generally come in for Reiki, which is wonderful. It's grounding. It gets you back in your body. All the things we talked about. It gets rid of your aches and pains. It relaxes you. It helps balance the nervous system. That is great. But sometimes we bump against problems, issues, trauma that I don't believe, maybe over time Reiki will heal, but it's like you need you have an infection. It's like having an infection, right? Okay, now go home and bump up your immune system and let's say, no, it's not getting better. Okay, we need to do something else. And that's kind of, Reiki is a great overall thing. It's wonderful. I love it. I think everybody should come in every month and get a Reiki session, right? Just to reset. It just feels so good. But then we bump up against some really deep-seated trauma, and that's where hypnotherapy and breathwork come in for me. Not everybody is into breathwork. It's a lot of work. That's a smaller amount of my clientele.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest amount is Reiki because it feels so good. Oh, you just feel, you know how you feel when you come out. Then it's hypnotherapy, and that's where we actually take the left brain, which is your thinking brain, your judging brain, your critical thinking brain, your executive functioning brain, and we kind of bob it under the water. We just kind of let it go to sleep a little, and that allows the right side of the brain to have, which is more your perspective, your spiritual, your wisdom brain, your energetic brain. You can feel energy that way. It will allows that one to be heard. And so then from that perspective, I can start asking some deep questions. And the fear-based brain, the left brain, is kind of offline. So it doesn't answer. Instead, the love-based brain answers. And we can find, and everybody, you remember everything. It's not like hypnosis where you don't remember everything. You're talking, but you're talking out of a different side of your brain. And it's like, people are just like, wow, I don't tell them anything. I just ask, my job is to ask the right question. And then they have their own answers. And it's just a magical. And again, just like Reiki, we don't heal them. We open up the space. We hold their space in love, saying you are powerful, you are whole, and you are loved, right? We say that energetically with them. And with hypnotherapy, that comes true. And if they know that, then they trust that voice inside them. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, and it's just another way to invite them back into themselves.
Exactly.
And again, it's handing that microphone, if you will, or that sword or whatever it is back to the person that you're with, and it gives them, oh, okay, I can do this. There's okay. And I'm curious, are there people that you work with, or well, I guess I'll ask that in two ways. Are there people that you work with that have a hard time calming that right brain down? And do you think if maybe before 20 years ago, before you found Reiki, do you think that your busy mind would have been able to calm down enough to experience something like that?
Great question. Yes, matter of fact, I think I would have been, why is this working? Oh, I'm not down yet. Oh, am I in my subconscious?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about myself, and I've tried this before in various different forms and teachers, but it's like the brain always wants to overthink.
Am I there yet?
Yeah.
Which is why I like breath work, because with breath work, you are physically switching that brain over from the left brain to the right brain with the breath, because the way we breathe, it changes the carbon dioxide oxygen levels in the brain, which physically, chemically shut down or turn down the volume of that left brain. So people whose brains are really active, breath work is really good for them. It's like, because you really don't have much choice. You know what I mean? It's chemically switching over. So that's good for them. And then if they can let that brain go, then hypnotherapy. So sometimes they'll come in for hypnotherapy, they'll have this huge aha, and then they'll want to come in for Reiki because they just want to balance. It's like a warm salve, wouldn't you say? Yeah, Reiki is.
Yeah, and I'm almost wondering, you could probably, and work with this Reiki energy to then help calm them down, even in the beginning of them in when your first, I'm trying to come up with words right now, but the hypnotherapy sessions, when you're in that, maybe, you invite in the Reiki, and then it's like, oh, okay, we're safe, we're calm, and everything just kind of works so smoothly. And this is why I love having all these
multiple tools. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So we do Reiki, I do the body relaxation, and then we do the hypnotherapy. Breath work the same. The first part of it, it's all about Reiki and breathing and relaxing, and then we go.
Do you find a lot of differences in between group breathwork sessions and personal ones, where it's just them?
Well, yeah, because a group breathwork, I kind of come in with my own theme, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a personal one, they tell me what they want to work on, and so I can create my own special breath work. I mean, my own special. We have it goes with music. Well, so I can think about my questions in advance, like how do I want to cue them during this? I can make a special playlist for them if I know the theme, right? Something that's more meaningful for them.
Mm.
Especially like the last song of the Breathwork always has a song with words. So if I know if they're working on inner child or if they're working on this or that, then I can really tailor it to them.
And is it more like holotropic, or like, I know people may or may not know what that is, but what style is it, like into the mouth, like heavy breathing?
Yes, into the mouth. It's not. It's a fast breathing, but it's not through at the chest level. It's way down deep. So it's a full inhale and a complete exhale. So you're not going to hyperventilate.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
different.
Totally.
Some people do. We don't. Mine, we don't do breath holds, but in some of them you do breath holds. Some of them you clench down on certain organs, like and hold your breath. And but this one's not like that. But not. They're all wonderful. They're just different techniques.
Totally.
It just happened to be the one I
found and resonated
with. Yeah. I really hadn't tried many of the other ones, so yeah.
I've tried so many.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think and this is always like a perspective based, right? But it's like I have to be in the mood for breathwork because I know that it's going to be kind of intense, and it's usually not intense in the way that I think that it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's very physical for me.
Yes. A lot of the people, when I tell them in the group breath work, I'll say, we'll be breathing for about 65 minutes. They tell me at the end, it's like, oh my gosh, 65 minutes. They said it goes like that, right? But it is a lot of work because there's a time it goes faster. So each, we have a playlist. So the first half of the arc, we make each song a little faster because I want you to breathe. I want you to end up breathing like that, right? Yeah. And then it gets very spacious, right? And then you breathe slower. But it's a lot of work. You have to keep telling them, stay with me, keep breathing, right?
The first time, I think actually, I'm now reflecting on this, breathwork was the first thing that I found in this, if you want to call it spiritual journey, the thing that kind of opened me up to be like, oh, what's going on again? I was at a music festival and I met some friends or some people, and it was a weird connection between like a sticker on a water bottle that was a friend's company, and I was in a completely different state, and we had this conversation. They said, hey, we're leading the breathwork workshop tomorrow. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, you should come. It's like, okay. And they're like, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is just come and breathe. We're not moving. We're not doing yoga. We're not, and at that time I was like super adverse to a lot of things. And you're like, just come and breathe and check it out. And it was, I don't know if you can, I think it was more holotropic, but it was like an hour or maybe even 45 minutes of just breathing. And I was just like, what is happening in my body? And it was like this invitation, again, one of those things that kind of opens your mind up to be like, hey, there's something else going on here. Like maybe you should follow this thread. And so, yeah, breathwork's it's cool. It's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we are coming to the end of our conversation, and I would love to ask you more about where you see yourself going, what's your, and maybe it's just, I don't know how far in advance you plan. Everyone's kind of different with this modality. Maybe you're planning for tomorrow, maybe you're planning for 2026 or just for the future in general, but do you have a direction in which you're pointing yourself? Or?
You mean in terms of my practice?
Just like a vision for you as a practitioner, or maybe just for your life, and where, like, what you'd like to work with or accomplish, or in your own words. In my practice, I love my 3 modalities. I'm not itching to add anything else, although I never do. They usually find me, so I'm open. It's like I always say that I'm really happy with just Reiki, and then breathwork finds me. I mean, hypnotherapy finds me, and then I'm just really great with these 2, and then 3 years later I'm doing breathwork. So who knows? But I remain open. But right now I'm satisfied with my 3. I'm not like hungry for adding more, right? But personally, I'm really looking at fear. The difference between love and fear. And so once you lock into something, then you notice, like you're looking for a car. Now all of a sudden you see that car all the time on the highway, right? So now I'm noticing all the places where fear shows up so subtly, and I'm just looking at that, and how am I reacting? Am I just reacting to the fear like an amoeba who is poked? You know what I mean? And remembering to stay in love.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how that looks. I'm so curious to see how that looks.
Yeah, that's been a major theme for me. This whole last year was all about fear, and it was, also with embodiment. And so for me, it was really about noticing one in the mind where fear is running my belief systems and the way that I operate, and then starting to go deeper and being like, oh, it's been a physical sensation that's now willing to be awakened. And so I just sense all this like tightness and anxiety and this like kind of clenching up around the things that I actually want to do in my life. And so fear's been a major theme of what I don't want to say conquering, but what I'm working with, overcoming, right?
Yeah.
And now I think in 2026, it's more about like, I see you, fear, and I'm ready to be courageous. I'm
Ooh.
ready to like step into it and
Yeah.
not let it run my life and
Yeah.
still pursue the things that I would like to see and the dreams that I have. So yeah, fear is like one of those things.
And I like what you said. I see it, I'm going to do it anyway, but not recklessly.
Mm-mm.
This year is the year for the Chinese zodiac. It's the year of the fire horse.
Yeah.
I'm usually not into this, but when I heard fire and horse, I'm like, fire is about purification, right? And truth and authenticity, I believe, because when we're pure, right, all that comes out. And the horse is about momentum and movement. So I looked into it, and it's like, ooh, uh, we're going to feel an urge to act, and the fire is going to help us purify it. So it's kind of like the message is, don't wait to feel comfortable to do something, but don't act recklessly either.
Ooh.
So be pure enough to act out of intuition, but don't delay until you feel comfortable. So I love that. The fire, the purification, and then move. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking about like in the old times where they use fire as a source of fuel. It's like the engine, right? That kind of drives something forward. But it's also something that needs to be like cultivated and almost controlled in a really holistic way, right? Because you don't want it to get the fire. It doesn't want to be out of control.
Right.
You want to work with it and use it in a way that it's going to drive you into your life. So
So not to be, that's again the recklessness of it, I see. Yeah, so we want to do it so it's intentional. Use the fire intentionally for our movement.
Yeah, like a hot air balloon.
Yeah. Have you ever been in one of those?
No, but I had this tattoo,
Oh, yes.
my hot air balloon, and people ask me all the time, and I just tell them, oh, it's a reminder to not float away. But it's like high on my bucket list. Like I really want to go.
The reason I mentioned it is because so you're in one, and it's a small like little basket, right? But then they turn on the burners. And you're like, whoa, because you're not so far from it, but the power of it is just intense. Then they turn it off, and you don't even think you're rising until the guy, he had some like leaves, and the leaves were supposed to, if you throw leaves, anyway, they went up. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're descending. It's so quiet up there. But then you get the of the fire.
And it's pretty loud, right?
It's really loud.
Yeah, I actually thought this would be the coolest job to have. And I met somebody, I don't know, this was like 6 months or a year ago, and they said that their dad had been a hot air balloon instructor or guide, operator, or whatever you want to call it, for like 20, 30 years. And he had like terrible hearing now. But he loved his life, He was just like, this is the coolest thing I get to do. But apparently it's like really taking out the hearing.
My goodness, yeah.
Because it's like you're next to that loud thing all the time. But, yeah. Well, this has been a beautiful conversation. Yeah.
Thank you. It has.
Thanks for having me, or thanks for being here to be able to come on to my dreams. Essentially, this is like what I really feel passionate about, is like offering really impactful and inspiring people to talk about their tools and their life experiences. And so it's just an honor to have you here on the
This has been so fun. Thank you for having me. And it's fun to find out where we've gone and where we're going, and the similarities of the experiences we've had. And that's the other thing that we realize, we're all one, right? We have similar experiences. Yeah, we're not alone.
No, we're not. Everyone's just got a slightly different path in life. I think there's a better word for it, but it's like just a different set of tools and a different blueprint that they're just working out to get eventually to the same source, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong way. Even the path that looks disjointed and dark and stuff, it's like that's their path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, tuning into your own spiritual GPS. Like I love this analogy, right? It's like the GPS isn't going to get mad at you for taking a wrong turn. It's just going to redirect
It
you.
reroutes you.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, cool, we're going to get there eventually. It just
Yeah.
depends on how long you want to take. But if people would like to work with you or find out more about your offerings or more about Reiki, what's a good way to
Yeah, go
find
to
it?
Santa Cruz Reiki Works.com.
Cool.
Yeah, Santa Cruz Reiki Works.com. Or just, yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
And did you do online sessions as well, or are you just
Yep,
working?
I do online sessions, mainly not hypnotherapy online sessions. I really like to be with the person in person,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But breathwork can be done online, and Reiki can.
Cool.
Yeah, so anybody can come in for it, can have a session.
Sweet. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
a portion of my people are here locally and also out in the world, maybe in other countries. And so, yeah, I invite you if you are curious about Reiki or about breathwork or hypnotherapy or just living a more holistic life, contact Joyce. And, I hope that 2026 treats you very well, treats everybody very well. I think it's going to be a really powerful year. So, yeah, thanks for being here. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you next time.